Often people think about DC as the capital, or the mall, or monuments, but they don't think about the over 700,000 residents who have no representation in Congress and who are essentially locked out of the democracy that surrounds them every day.
Pro-statehood Democrats have long called the lack of representation an injustice to district residents. Meanwhile, Republicans have labeled statehood as a power grab by Democrats, looking to change the electoral map.
The United States is the only country which does not give the same rights to the people who live in its capital as everyone else has.
Eleanor Holmes Norton has represented D.C. in the House of Representatives since 1991, but as a non-voting delegate. She has proposed statehood bills multiple times, but none of them passed until 2019.
The District of Columbia Statehood Bill, H.R. 51, is passed without objection. Motion to reconsider is laid upon the table.
It went nowhere in the Republican-controlled Senate, but she reintroduced the legislation at the opening of the 117th Congress. This time, she has 212 co-sponsors and commitment from House leadership that the bill would receive a floor vote. Democratic Senator Tom Carper of Delaware also introduced the companion statehood bill.
We should all be concerned that today, more than 700,000 tax-paying Americans, over two-thirds of whom are people of color, continue to be denied a vote here in this body.
To better understand why D.C. isn't a state, let's go back to 1787. While writing the Constitution, the Founding Fathers decided that it was imperative that the seat of government was not in a state. Their goal was to keep any state from having outsized influence over the federal government and to keep the nation's capital as a neutral enclave. So they wrote Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, that Congress can exercise exclusive legislation in a federal district as long as it does not exceed 10 miles square, or in layman's terms, 100 miles.
They essentially decide that through what would later be called the Residence Act, that the capital will be somewhere along the Potomac River between the confluence with the Eastern Branch and a creek about 50 or so miles north of here in Maryland. So people in Washington City, which was the largest settlement within the District of Columbia, not only lost their right to vote for president and for members of Congress, they didn't have any government at all. Congress effectively operated as their city council. For the next 220 years, in various ways, DC residents lobby for home rule, because they do lose it after 1874 for an entire 100 years, but also representation in Congress.
In 1963, Congress ratified the 23rd Amendment, giving D.C. residents the right to vote in presidential elections. 8 years later, a non-voting delegate position in the House was reinstated. And finally, in 1973, the passage of the Home Rule Act allowed residents to elect their own mayor and city council. However, all legislation, including the city's budget, required congressional approval. This all remains true today. It's why taxation without representation became the official slogan on DC license plates.
The best way to see the injustice of paying taxes without representation is to compare DC residents and what they pay with other Americans.
Despite having no say over how those tax dollars are spent, DC residents actually pay the highest per capita federal income taxes in the U.S.
The concept of one person and one vote is not existent here. We are the last location within the country that pays full taxes that is denied our representation. Until everyone is represented, no one equally is.
While Democrats control both chambers of Congress, the margin in the Senate couldn't be narrower. Vice President Harris is needed to break every tie on votes, requiring a simple majority. And statehood requires way more votes than that, 60 to be exact. That means advocates need to convince Republicans and moderate Democrats to vote yes.
Statehood for Washington, D.C.
I don't know enough about that yet. I want to see the pros and cons, so I'm waiting to see all the facts. I'm open up to see everything.
I will never vote to give a single middling-sized city the same political power as one of America's great 50 states.
This is a continuation of efforts by the Democrats to alter the way America operates.
Calls for statehood grew stronger after the security failures during the Capitol riot in January. The DC Police Department said it sent approximately 850 officers, nearly 1/4 of its force, to defend the halls of Congress.
I'm upset that 706,000 residents of the District of Columbia did not have a single vote in that Congress yesterday, despite the fact that our people were putting their lives on the line to protect our democracy.
Others noted that the National Guard could have responded more quickly if DC had a governor with the power to call them in.
I think the recent events have highlighted why DC statehood is important. I think that it has shown why residents of Washington have been fighting for this issue for quite some time. But make no mistake about it, whether it's January 6th or the past 200 years, the people of Washington, D.C. are faced with lack of statehood every single day. Democrats now have control of the White House, the Senate, and the House. It is no longer a decision of whether or not they can give representation to the residents of Washington. It's whether or not they choose to do it. And so we hope that right now, this sort of culture of equality and justice will seep into the city of Washington, D.C., and finally end this stain on our democracy.